Okay, good morning students. Today we have lecture number 15. Lecture number 15. Okay. So today we will be studying about the combination of capacitors, that is grouping of capacitors. In the previous classes we have studied the capacitors, what is capacitance, and what is the effect of dielectric on the capacitance, and we have also studied the parallel plate capacitors, etc. So now today we have to study about the grouping of capacitors or a combination of capacitors. So there are two types, mainly we will study only two types of combination of capacitors, that is series combination of capacitors and parallel combination of capacitors. So these two are very important for theory exam. For theory exam these two derivations are very important. So today we shall study the series combination of capacitors. Series combination of capacitors. Okay. So series combination of capacitor, that is end to end connection, that is series combination. So that is capacitor. The circuit symbol of capacitor, we know that circuit symbol of capacitor is like this, and one of the plate is positive, another plate is negative. And now next another capacitor. So this is called a series connection. This is called series connection. How to explain this series connection? How will explain? What is series connection if they ask? So the negative plate of the first capacitor, is connected to positive plate of the second capacitor, and the negative plate of the second capacitor is connected to positive plate of the third capacitor, and so on. So this connection is called as a series combination of capacitors. If the right plate of the first capacitor is connected to the left plate of the second capacitor, and right plate of the second capacitor is connected to left plate of the third capacitor, so then this connection is called as a series combination of capacitors. Like this also you can tell. So okay, so now let us consider three capacitors, C1, C2 and C3. Let us consider three different capacitors, C1, C2 and C3 connected in series as shown in figure. So consider three capacitors, C1, C2 and C3. Let us consider three different capacitors, C1, C2 and C3 connected in series as shown in the figure. And let V be the applied potential difference. So now in the series combination, when the capacitors are connected in a series, the charge on each capacitor will remain same. Remember that when the capacitors are connected in a series, the charge on each capacitor will remain same. And the potential difference across each capacitor, will be different. Series combination can be also explained like this. A series combination is a combination of capacitors where charge on each capacitor will remain same and potential difference across each capacitor will be different. A combination of capacitors in which charge on each capacitor will be same and potential difference across each capacitor is different. That also can be called as series combination of capacitor. Like that also you can tell. Okay, no problem. So we are told earlier one more definition, no need of another one. So in series combination, the charge on each capacitor will be same and potential difference across each capacitor will be different. The potential difference across each capacitor will be different. Let V1, V2, V3. Let V1, V2 and V3 be the potential difference across the capacitors. C1, C2 and C3 respectively. Let V1, V2 and V3 be the potential difference across the capacitor C1, C2, C3 respectively. So when the capacitors are connected in series, we know that charge on each capacitor will remain same, and the total potential difference applied, that is the total potential difference applied is equal to the sum of the potential difference across individual capacitor. In a series connection, in series combination, charge on each capacitor will remain same or constant, will remain same, and potential difference across each capacitor will be different. Okay. Further, so you can write total potential difference, that is V is equal to sum of potential difference across each capacitor, that is V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3, V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3, where V is total potential difference, V1 is potential difference across C1, capacitor C1, and V2 is potential difference across the capacitor C2, and V3 is potential difference across the capacitor C3. So now we know that C is equal to Q divided by V. So therefore V1 is equal to, you can write V1 is equal to Q divided by C1. Similarly V2 is equal to Q divided by C2, and V3 is equal to Q divided by C3. Here we are writing Q, Q1, Q2, Q3 not, because Q will remain same, that's why we are writing same. So now substitute these values in the equation number, in the above equation, that is V1 is nothing but Q divided by C1, plus V2 Q divided by C2 plus Q divided by C3. So now Q is taken common. So V is equal to Q 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. If C is the effective capacitance in series combination, shall I write here? So let CS be the effective capacitance in a series combination, then we can write CS is equal to Q divided by V. CS is equal to Q divided by V. So therefore V is equal to, this V is equal to Q divided by CS. So now substitute in this equation, so instead of V, substitute as Q divided by CS is equal to Q into 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. So now Q get cancelled. So you'll get 1 by CS is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. So this is the series combination of capacitors, where CS is called effective capacitance in series combination or equivalent capacitance in series combination. CS is called equivalent capacitance in a series combination. C1, C2, C3 are three capacitors connected in a series. So the formula will comes out to be 1 by CS is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. Understood? So this is a series combination of capacitors. So this will be asked in a theory exams many times. In the theory exams many times they have asked this derivation. So sometimes they may ask for 5 marks or sometimes they may ask for 3 marks. Understand? In the series combination, charge on each capacitor will remain same. In the series combination, charge on each capacitor will remain same, whereas potential difference across each capacitor will be different. So that is the main point. So by using that point only, we will derive this derivation. So this is called effect. This relation is for 3 capacitors. Okay. So now if there are n number of capacitors, so for n number of capacitors. For n number of capacitor, you can write 1 divided by Cs is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus dash 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 plus 1 by Cn. So like this. So if they ask in the exam only for 2 capacitors, derive the expression for series combination of 2 capacitors, then only take 2 capacitors. Don't take third one. Only take 2 capacitors. We will get the answer as 1 by Cs is equal to 1 by Cs is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. This much only with the answer. Understood? If they ask only derive the expression for series effective capacitance of series combination of 2 capacitors. If they ask for 2 capacitors, like that. If they ask for n capacitor, last to write down this one. Use for 3 capacitors, and then for n number of capacitors, this will be the result. Understood? Okay. So this is a series combination of capacitors. Next, now we will study parallel combination of capacitors. These are very simple things, and they will ask in the theory exam many times. They will ask in the theory exams many times. You open the question paper, you will realize. Okay. So next, parallel combination. Parallel combination of capacitors. Parallel combination of capacitors. Okay. So how to tell what is parallel combination? If they ask, they will not ask many times, but if they ask how to tell what is parallel combination? It is, so let us take different capacitors. Okay, I will draw the diagram and then I will explain it. Okay. Here. So parallel combination of capacitors. What is parallel combination? If positive plate of all the capacitors, are connected to a common point. Positive plate of all the capacitors are connected to a one common point, and negative plate of all the capacitors are connected to a another common point. Then it is called parallel combination. If positive plate of all the capacitors, are connected to one common point, and negative plate of all the capacitors are connected to another common point. This is one common point, I will say this as A, and this is another common point, I will say it as B. So if positive plate of all the capacitors are connected to one common point, and negative plate of all the capacitors are connected to another common point, then the capacitor, all these capacitors are said to be in a parallel combination. All these capacitors are said to be connected in a parallel combination. So this is called a parallel combination of capacitors. This is battery, this is not capacitor. This is not capacitor, this is battery. Applied potential difference V. So let C1, C2, C3. Let 3 different capacitors C1, C2 and C3. Let C1, C2, C3 be the 3 capacitors connected in parallel as shown in the figure. Let C1, C2, C3 be the 3 capacitors connected in parallel as shown in figure. In a parallel combination, the potential difference across each capacitor, will remain same or will remain constant. The potential difference across each capacitor will remain constant, and the charge on each capacitor will be different. In the parallel combination of capacitors, the potential difference across the each capacitor will remain constant or will remain same, whereas charge on each capacitor will be different. So in a parallel combination, in a parallel combination of capacitors, in parallel combination of capacitors, potential difference across each capacitor will be same or constant, but charge on each capacitor will be different. This is the main point. In parallel combination, potential difference will remain same, whereas charge will be different. Potential difference across each capacitor will be same and charge will be different. So let Q1, Q2 and Q3 be the charges, charge on capacitors, capacitors C1, C2 and C3 respectively. Then total charge is given by, so that is Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, that is total charge of the combination is equal to the sum of charge on each capacitors. Total charge of the parallel combination will be equal to the sum of the charges on each capacitor. So that is Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Call this as equation number 1. We know that. So Q is equal to C into V. So therefore Q1 is equal to C1 into V. Because V1, not V1. Because V, that is potential difference, is same. Therefore not V1, V2, V3. So only V. So Q2 is equal to C2 into V. Q3 is equal to C3 into V. So here we are not writing V1, V2, V3 because potential differences are not different. Potential differences are same. Whereas charge is different, so Q1, Q2, Q3, and capacitors are different, so C1, C2, C3. Understood? Substitute these values in equation 1. Substitute these in equation number 1. So we will get, I will remove this one. Okay? So that is CV is equal to, directly you can write. Okay. Q is equal to Q1. Q1 is C1V plus Q2 is C2V plus Q3 is C3V. Okay. So now V is taken common. So Q is equal to, V is taken common, C1 plus C2 plus C3. Okay. If CP be the effective capacitance in a parallel combination, connection, then CP is equal to Q into V. Then CP is equal to Q into V, or Q is equal to CP divided by V. Q is equal to mistake. So if CP be the effective capacitance in a parallel connection, then you can write CP is equal to Q divided by V. right? Q divided by V. Then you can write Q is equal to Cp into V. Now substitute that value here. Substitute this Q here. So it is Cp into V, C1 plus C2 plus C3. So now V get cancelled. Now V cancel. So Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. So this is effective combination, effective capacitance of parallel combination, effective capacitance of parallel combination. It is when the capacitors are connected in a parallel, then Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. Understood? This derivation, these two derivations are very, very important from the point of view of theory exam. For theory exam, many times they have asked these questions. So remember this, these two derivations are most important questions for the theory exams. Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. If they are asked n number of capacitors, if they are given n number of capacitors, then how to write? So diagrams are very important, diagrams are compulsory. While writing this series and parallel combination, we have to write the diagram along with this all the explanation, then only you will get full marks. No diagram, no marks. Series combination, parallel combination of capacitors, remember that if you do not write the diagram, only you write or if you explained all these things. In the exam, if you explain all these things and you will not write the diagram, then you won't get any marks, 0 marks. This is a question called no diagram, no marks. That is rule of valuation. Okay, so now what I am telling, if there are n number of capacitors, then you can write Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus dash 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 plus Cn. Just simply you can write. If there are n number of capacitors, if they ask only for two capacitors, Cp is equal to C1 plus C2. So from the beginning only you consider only two capacitors. Let us consider two capacitors C1 and C2 connected in parallel like that. So from the beginning you change the answer. According to the question, you have to make the answer. Understood? Don't buy the things and go on writing. Okay. So if they ask only for two capacitors, you write for only two capacitors. If they ask for three capacitors, write for three capacitors. If they ask for n capacitor, write this extra one step. That's it. Understood? Okay. So from this formula, what you will understand, that is in series combination you get 1 by Cs is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. Okay. In parallel combination, Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. So from this we understand that the value of Cp will be greater than, that is the effective capacitance of parallel combination. The effective capacitance of parallel combination will be greater than the greatest of all the three capacitors, greatest than individual capacitors. The effective capacitance of parallel combination, will be greater than the greatest of the individual capacitors. For example, if there are just for example I am telling, so if there are three capacitors, 1 microfarad, 2 microfarad and 3 microfarad. So then what is the parallel combination? If three capacitors are connected in parallel, then what is the effective capacitance? Question is very simple. What they are asking, three capacitors, 1 microfarad, 2 microfarad and 3 microfarads are connected in parallel. What will be the effective capacitance? So effective capacitance, that is Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. This is 1 plus 2 plus 3, that is 6 microfarad you will get. So this 6 microfarad is greater than any of these three. 6 microfarad is greater than any of these three. That is the effective capacitance of parallel combination will be greater than the greatest of three capacitors. Understood? Okay. So similarly, if you take Cs, that is the effective capacitance of series combination. The effective capacitance of series combination will be less than the effective capacitance of series combination will be less than the or smaller than the smallest of the capacitors. The effective capacitance of series combination will be smaller than the smallest of the capacitor. That is, if 3 capacitors are given, that is 1 microfarad, 2 microfarad and 3 microfarad. 3 capacitors are connected in series. Then what is the effective capacitance? Then you will get 1 by Cs is equal to, you will substitute the values and you will calculate. After calculation you will get Cs value. That value will be less than 1 microfarad. Among these 3, which is the smallest? Smallest is 1 microfarad and the value of Cs will be smaller than the smallest capacitor. The value of Cs will be smaller than the smallest capacitor. That's what. The effective capacitance of series combination will be smaller than the smallest capacitor in the combination. Understood? So, this is just for your understanding. So, this is series combination and parallel combination of capacitors. Next, we will study energy stored in capacitors. Next, we will study energy stored in a capacitor. Now, we shall derive the energy stored in a capacitor. So, energy stored in a capacitor. Energy stored in a capacitor. It's also very important for theory exam. For theory exams, these derivations are very important. Energy stored in a capacitor. That is, the energy stored in a capacitor is equivalent to the transfer of charge from one plate to the other plate of the capacitor. Listen to the statement properly. The energy stored in a capacitor. The energy stored in a capacitor is equivalent to the transfer of charge from one plate to the other plate of the capacitor. So, that is, to transfer charge from one plate to the another plate of the capacitor, work must be done, and this work done is stored as the energy. The work done in transferring a charge from one plate to another plate is stored as the potential energy of the capacitor. So, at any instant of time, so there will be a potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor. At any instant of time, there will be a potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor. Hence, work must be done. To transfer the charge. So, this is a capacitor, only one capacitor. Okay. At any instant of time, between these two capacitors, between these two plates, there will be a potential difference. There will be a potential difference between the plates of the capacitor. So, to transfer a charge, work has to be done, and work done is stored as the energy. So, let Q be the charge on the capacitor at any instant of time. Let small q be the charge on the capacitor at any instant of time. Then the potential difference is given by V is equal to Q divided by C. The potential difference between the plates is given by V is equal to Q divided by C. So now to transfer a charge, to transfer a small charge dq, work done is dw is equal to V dq. To transfer a small charge dq, the work done is given by dw is equal to V into dq. V is potential difference between the plates and dq is the small amount of charge that has to be transferred. And to transfer a small amount of charge dq, a small amount of work has to be done, and that small amount of work done is dw. So dw is equal to V into dq. So now the total charge that can be stored on the plate, that can be stored on the capacitor is capital Q. Then the total work done, that is total work done in storing the charge, in storing or in transferring the charge, in storing the charge, in storing the charge from q is equal to 0 to q is equal to capital Q is, it is the total work done in transferring the charge from q is equal to 0 to q is equal to capital Q is given by W is equal to integration of dW. Integration of dW from where to where? From q is equal to 0 to q is equal to capital Q. So dW, that is dW we have, that is integration of V dq from q is equal to 0 to q is equal to capital Q, and V is nothing but q by C. So it is integration of q by C dq from q is equal to 0 to q is equal to capital Q. So now see, capacitance of a capacitor is a constant. Capacitance of a capacitor is a constant. It does not depend upon the charge and potential. It does not depend upon the charge and potential. To take it outside. So W is equal to 1 by C. So integration of Q dq from where to where? From Q is equal to 0 to Q is equal to capital Q. So W is equal to 1 by C. So now integration of Q dq. Integration of q dq will comes out to be q square divided by 2 from 0 to capital Q. Lower limit is 0, upper limit is capital Q. So therefore, on substituting the limits, it is 1 by C, 1 by C, 1 by 2C. 2 I will take common. So first upper limit minus lower limit. First upper limit, that is q square minus 0 square. So on simplification, you will get that is W is equal to will get it as it is 1 by 2 q square divided by C or q square divided by 2C. So this is the total work done. That is total work done in storing the charge from q is equal to 0 to q is equal to capital Q, and this work done is stored as potential energy. This work done is stored as energy. So therefore U is equal to q square divided by 2C. So U is equal to q square divided by 2C because W is equal to U. W is equal to U. So therefore the energy stored in a capacitor, the energy stored in a capacitor is given by U is equal to q square divided by 2C. So now this formula can be also written in different form. It can be also written in a different form, since we know that q is equal to C into V. So therefore U is equal to it is CV square divided by 2C. So that is so you can write U is equal to 1 by 2 CV square. This is also another formula. This is also same, this is also same, and different terms. Formula for capacitance. So since this is one formula, so now another one, since C is equal to Q divided by V, substitute that very here. So U is equal to Q square divided by 2 into C. Let's see, substitute that C as Q divided by V. So therefore Q cancel. So you will get U is equal to 1 by 2 Q into V. So this is also another way of writing the energy stored in a capacitor. So these all are the different expressions. These all are the different expressions for energy stored in a capacitor. Understood? This derivation is also very important for theory exam. So energy stored in a capacitor is given by the formula q square divided by 2C or 1 by 2 CV square, 1 by 2 QV. So these all are the different formula for energy stored in a capacitor. And the energy stored in a capacitor is nothing but the work done in transferring the charges. From one place to another place, and that work done is stored as the potential energy. Understood? Further, the energy stored per unit volume. So consider a parallel plate capacitor. This energy is stored. This energy is stored in the form of electric field. This energy is stored in between the plates of the capacitors. Here, where this energy is stored, that also you understand. The energy is stored in between the plates of the capacitor. Here, the energy is stored in between the plates of the capacitor in the form of electric field. In the form of electric field. The energy is stored in between the plates of the capacitor and in the form of electric field. So let us consider a parallel plate capacitor having A be the area of each plate and D be the distance between the plates. A be the area of each plate and D be the distance between the two plates. Then you can write the formula, that is the energy stored in the capacitor U is equal to 1 by 2 Cv square. U is equal to 1 by 2 Cv square, and that C is, that is capacitor, parallel plate capacitor. So capacitance is given by A epsilon naught divided by D, and V is given by E into D, because D is the distance between the plates and E is the electric field between the plates. So therefore U is equal to 1 by 2 A epsilon naught divided by D into E into D. So now dd cancel. So you'll get U is equal to 1 by 2. U is equal, it is V square, no? So this is square. So now D will remain. Okay. So now 1 by 2 epsilon naught E square into A D, and A into D is nothing but volume. A into D is nothing but volume. So therefore energy stored per unit volume, that is U divided by AD. U divided by AD is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught E square. So this is called energy density. You can write it as energy density, that is U E is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught E square. So this is the expression for energy density of a capacitor. Energy density of a capacitor, that is energy stored per unit volume. Energy stored per unit volume of capacitor is given by UE is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught into E square. So this is extra. This is extra. Just what I did was U is equal to 1 by 2 Cv square, that is energy stored in a capacitor. I have taken parallel plate capacitor, and capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor is given by C is equal to A epsilon naught divided by D, and the potential difference between the plates is given by V is equal to E into D. So therefore substitute these two values here, 1 by 2 C, A epsilon naught divided by D, and V is equal to V square, so ED square. So this D and D will cancel. So you will get this and AD. AD is nothing but area into distance. Area into distance, that is nothing but volume. Volume, that is energy stored per unit volume of the space between the two capacitors. Energy stored per unit volume of space between the two capacitors, that is called energy density, because energy is stored in between the two capacitors. Remember that energy is stored in between the two capacitors in the form of electric field. Energy is stored in between the two plates of the capacitors, in between the two plates of the capacitors in the form of electric field, and energy stored per unit volume. Energy stored per unit volume is energy density, and that energy density is given by 1 by 2 epsilon naught E square. Understood? These things they will not ask, just for your understanding I told. So only up to this much derivation or this derivation is enough in the theory exam. For the theory exam they will ask derive an expression for energy stored in a capacitor. If you write this much or this much, that will be enough. If they ask write the expression for energy density of a capacitor, then this will be the formula. Okay. Further, some more things you can also understand. That is, so we know that charge and potential are directly proportional. If we draw a graph of potential difference against charge, if we draw a graph of potential is taken along y-axis and charge is taken along x-axis. Potential is taken along y-axis and charge is taken along x-axis. And we know that Q is directly proportional to V, or V is directly proportional to Q. So therefore, the graph obtained will be a straight line. The graph obtained will be a straight line. The graph obtained will be a straight line, and the area under this graph, the area under this graph, this area under this graph will give the energy stored in a capacitor. Remember that the area under VQ graph, the area under VQ graph gives the energy stored in a capacitor. The area under VQ graph gives the energy stored in a capacitor. Just for your understanding, these all things just for your understanding. Understood? So you can do it. So if total charge is capital Q, and though this height will be, that is this total potential is V, then V is equal to Q by C. So the area under this graph will be 1 by 2 into base into height. 1 by 2 base into height, because it is a triangle. So therefore 1 by 2 base. Base is nothing but from here to here. From here to here, 0 to capital Q, that is capital Q. And height. Height means this one, and this is nothing but total potential, and total potential is equal to Q divided by C. So that is Q divided by C. So you will get 1 by 2 Q square divided by C. So this is the area, and that area is same as the energy stored in the capacitor. The area under VQ graph will give the energy stored in the capacitor. Understood? That's for your understanding. Understood? So this is energy stored in a capacitor. Okay. So next concept we will study in the next classes. Next further some more concepts are there, little bit concepts are there, we will study in the next class.